You always gotta have a practice husband first, Jenna said, laughing, tipping back her margarita. You know, a starter one, before you find the real thing. She said it like it was a joke. Like I wasn't sitting right there, 3 feet away, still wearing my wedding ring. Megan burst out laughing. Tyler leaned back in his chair, grinning like it was the funniest thing he'd heard all night. Jenna didn't even glance at me. She just reached for another chip, dipping it into salsa like she hadn't just sucker punched me in front of a crowded Chili's. I sat there, blood pounding in my ears, every instinct in me screaming. Get up. Say something. Walk out. Do anything but sit there like a damn fool. Instead, I smiled, lifted my beer, took a long, bitter swig. Because that's what you do when you realize the woman you married already sees you as a mistake she's planning to outgrow. The ride home was quiet. I drove, hands tight on the steering wheel, headlights carving 2 long tunnels into the dark. Jenna scrolled through her phone, thumb tapping away, her face lit up by the glow. No apology. No, I didn't mean it. Just nothing. Like it didn't even register that she'd humiliated me in front of people who used to be our friends. Halfway back to our apartment, she finally spoke. You're awful quiet, she said, not looking up. I grunted. Nothing to say. It was a joke, she said, voice light, like she was explaining something to a child. You know Megan's getting cold feet about her wedding. I was just trying to make her laugh. I nodded. A slow, heavy nod. The kind you do when the only thing heavier is the lump sitting in your chest. At a red light, I glanced over at her. She was texting again, smiling at the screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in a long time. When we pulled into the parking lot, she was already halfway out the door before I even shut off the engine. Inside, she tossed her purse onto the couch and kicked off her shoes like we hadn't just had one of the worst nights of our marriage. I'm beat, she said, stretching. Going to bed. You coming? I stayed in the living room, sat down heavy on the couch. In a minute. She didn't wait. She disappeared into the bedroom, the door clicking shut behind her. I sat there, staring at the dark TV screen, my own reflection looking back at me. Tired. Worn out. Old before my time. This wasn't the life I pictured when we got married 3 years ago. We were supposed to be building something. Instead, it felt like I was a stepping stone she was already planning to jump off from. The next few days were weird. She was nicer. In that fake, high-pitched way she gets when she knows she crossed a line but doesn't actually feel bad about it. Lots of little kisses on the cheek when she left for work. Love you thrown over her shoulder like it cost nothing. A couple dinners cooked instead of takeout. Even wore that old blue hoodie of mine she used to steal when we first started dating. If I were dumber or just more desperate, I might have believed it meant something. But it felt rehearsed, like a script she was reading from. And then came Thursday night. Thursday night used to be our night. No matter how busy we were, we made time. Dinner. A movie. Talking on the balcony with beers in hand, laughing about stupid stuff from work. But lately, Thursday nights had become Jenna's girl nights. Megan needs me, she said. She's stressed about the wedding. I'm just being a good friend. So I stayed home. Alone. Watched some rerun I barely paid attention to. Ordered wings from the place down the block. Tossed the bones into the trash without tasting a damn thing. At 11:17 p.m., I heard the front door open. Jenna stumbled in, giggling. Smelled like fruity cocktails and expensive perfume. Not the kind she usually wore for me. Hey, she slurred, dropping her heels by the door. Good night. I asked, voice flat. She flopped onto the couch, legs curled up under her like a teenager. Awesome. Megan's getting wild now. You should have seen her. I nodded, pretending to care. She kept talking, rambling about bridesmaid dresses and cake tastings and some guy from work who got so drunk he puked into his shoe. But the longer she talked, the more I noticed something. She never once mentioned where they went. Never said who else was there. Never invited me along like she used to. The next morning, I got up early, out of habit. Made coffee. Let the dog out. On the counter, next to Jenna's purse, her phone buzzed. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. Never had a reason to. But that morning, something in my gut twisted so hard I felt sick. The screen lit up with a text from a number that wasn't saved. Had a great time. Can't wait till next week. I stood there staring at it, coffee going cold in my hand. My heart hammered so loud I swear the dog looked up at me, sensing something was off. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't scroll. Didn't snoop. Just let it sit there, buzzing again a few seconds later. You looked amazing last night. Could barely keep my hands off you. The world tilted. And I realized, right then and there, that maybe I wasn't her practice husband, anymore. Maybe I was just her placeholder. I spent that whole weekend pretending. Pretending I didn't see the texts. Pretending I didn't hear the extra long showers. Pretending I didn't notice how she kept her phone face down whenever we were in the same room. I mowed the lawn, washed the truck, fixed the leaky sink she'd been nagging me about for months. She smiled at me, pecked my cheek, laughed at my dumb jokes. And all I could think about was how easy it must be for her to live two lives at once. Like I was just background noise. A prop. A starter husband she'd laugh about with her real friends someday. Monday morning, she left early for work. Said she had a staff meeting. Said she'd be back late, lots of paperwork to catch up on. I watched her pull out of the driveway, a pit growing bigger and heavier in my stomach with every second. When she was gone, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at her empty coffee cup. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't about catching her anymore. It wasn't about getting proof. I already knew. I just didn't know if I had it in me yet to stop pretending. The next Thursday night, she didn't even bother pretending. "You don't mind if I stay over at Megan's, right?" she said, slipping earrings into her ears without looking at me. "It'll just be easier. We're gonna be up late planning stuff anyway." I stood in the bedroom doorway, watching her rush around like she had a plane to catch. Tight jeans, low-cut top, more makeup than she ever wore for anything casual. "Yeah," I said, voice dry. "Sure. Whatever's easier." She gave me a quick smile, the kind you give a cashier you'll never see again, and grabbed her bag. "Love you," she called over her shoulder, the door slamming behind her before I could even answer. I stood there for a second, just listening to the silence settle over the house. I didn't know what was worse, that she was lying, or that she didn't even think she had to lie well anymore. That night, I didn't sit at home waiting. I drove. Nowhere in particular. Just around the edges of town. Past the darkened strip malls, the all-night gas stations, the busted diner we used to eat at when we first started dating. I thought about all the times I'd picked up her favorite ice cream on the way home. All the overtime I worked to afford her stupid yoga classes and salon days. All the nights I stayed up fixing things she broke, or picking up groceries after she forgot. All the ways I'd been her steady, boring, dependable man. The kind you settle for, until something shinier shows up. Around midnight, I ended up parked across from Megan's apartment complex. Lights off. No cars pulling in. No signs of life except for a few porch lights flickering in the distance. I sat there, engine idling, feeling like a goddamn fool. I wasn't even sure what I was hoping to see. Confirmation? Denial? Or just some reason to hate her enough to finally walk away? At 12:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Jenna. "Good night, baby. Love you." I stared at it for a long time, at the fake sweetness dripping from every letter. I didn't respond. Just turned the engine off and leaned back against the seat, letting the heavy, bitter dark wrap around me. She wasn't there. I knew it without seeing it. I could feel it in my bones. Megan's car was in the lot, sure, but no extra cars. No signs of Jenna inside. She wasn't spending the night planning centerpieces and flower arrangements. She was somewhere else, with someone else, laughing, whispering, letting someone else touch the parts of her she once promised were mine alone. By the time I stumbled home around 2:30, every muscle in my body felt locked up. Tired, tense, done. I didn't sleep that night. Just laid on the couch, dog curled up at my feet, staring at the ceiling, listening for a door that wouldn't open. The next morning, she waltzed in around 8. Fresh clothes, fresh face, fresh lies. "Morning, sleepyhead," she said, tossing her keys onto the counter. "You wouldn't believe the night we had. Total chaos. Megan's neighbors called the cops 'cause we were laughing too loud. She laughed like it was the best memory in the world." I nodded, sipped my coffee, said nothing. Let her dig her own grave with her pretty little mouth. The next few days blurred into each other. Her smiles got wider, her touches lighter, her absences longer. But something inside me started shifting. I stopped trying to catch her, stopped trying to hold it all together. Instead, I started paying attention, really paying attention. Like that Sunday afternoon when she was folding laundry in the living room, her phone buzzed on the armrest next to her. She snatched it up so fast it might as well have been a grenade. "Work stuff," she said, tucking it into her back pocket without even checking if I was looking. Work. At 2 in the afternoon. On a Sunday. On her day off. Sure. I nodded again. My new favorite hobby. I didn't need proof anymore. I just needed a plan. I started noticing other little things. The new lace underwear stuffed at the back of her dresser, tag still on, never worn for me. The sudden need for more gym nights when she hadn't set foot in a gym for the first 3 years of our marriage. The way she started wearing perfume just to go run errands. The way she didn't ask me questions anymore. Didn't check if I wanted anything from the store. Didn't ask how my day was. Didn't even fake interest. She was already living somewhere else in her head. Somewhere I wasn't invited. One night, I came home and found her sitting on the porch, glass of wine in hand, scrolling her phone with a lazy smile. I watched her for a moment from the driveway. The way she twirled her hair when she smiled. The way she pressed her legs together like she was trying to look cute for whoever was on the other side of that screen. She didn't even notice me standing there. Didn't notice much of anything about me anymore. When I finally stepped onto the porch, she jolted a little. Quickly locked her phone and smiled too big. "Hey, babe. Just enjoying the night air." "Yeah," I said, stepping past her into the house. "Smells like fresh lies." She blinked. Half laughed, like maybe I was kidding. But the tightness in her shoulders said she heard me loud and clear. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling again. Only this time, it wasn't sadness that kept me awake. It was something sharper, colder, cleaner. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was preparing for the day she'd come home and find that I wasn't there anymore. Preparing for the silence I'd leave behind. The kind that echoes longer than any fight, longer than any apology. The kind that says, "You were never good enough. Not for me. Not even for yourself." I didn't confront her right away. That's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't always blow up. Sometimes it leaks in slow, quiet, rotten. You don't kick the door down and scream. You just start dying inside, piece by piece. A week after the night on the porch, she started planning a weekend trip with the girls. "Spa day," she said, tossing it over her shoulder like it was no big deal. "Megan booked us massages and everything. We'll probably crash at her place Saturday night." Crash. At Megan's. Again. I didn't say anything. Didn't ask which spa. Didn't ask who else was going. What was the point? I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her alibi. Saturday morning, I watched her pack. New jeans. New tops. Even new lingerie tucked deep in her bag like she thought I wouldn't notice. "You sure you're okay with me going?" she asked, standing in the doorway, bag slung over one shoulder. "Course," I said, smiling like a corpse. She kissed my cheek. Light. Careless. "Love you," she said, already halfway out the door. The second I heard her car pull away, I sat down at the kitchen table and just breathed. Big, empty, bitter breaths. The house was too quiet. Like even it was tired of pretending. By noon, I was sitting in the driveway staring at the crumbling sidewalk, drinking a warm beer, and thinking about how much of myself I'd given her without even asking if she wanted it. Love's funny like that. You build a whole damn house for someone, and one day they just decide they don't like the paint. And you're left standing in the wreckage wondering what you could have done different. But deep down, you already know. You couldn't have done a damn thing, because they were always going to leave. You just didn't want to see it. That night, I grilled a steak for myself. First time in months. "No, are you sure you want red meat again?" "No, don't forget to pick up kale." Just me. The sizzle of fat hitting fire. The smell of something real. I ate on the back porch, dog curled up at my feet, the stars starting to poke through the dark. She texted once. "Hope you're having a good night, baby." I didn't answer. Didn't even open it. Just stared at the tiny glowing screen until it went dark. At 2 in the morning, I woke up on the couch. Still fully dressed, TV flickering blue across the empty living room. The house smelled like burnt steak and loneliness. No Jenna. No call saying she missed me. No check-in to make sure I was okay. Just silence. The kind that didn't feel temporary anymore. The kind that felt permanent. Sunday afternoon, she came back. Breezing in like nothing happened. Talking too loud, too fast. Dropping her bag by the door. "Ugh, my shoulders are killing me," she said, stretching. "Guess the massage wasn't that good, huh?" I said, voice flat. She blinked. Paused. Smiled tight. "It was fine. Just, stress." I nodded. She smelled different. Different soap. Different perfume. A different life clinging to her skin. I watched her from the kitchen as she unpacked her bag. Saw her shove something deep into the laundry hamper, a tiny red bra I'd never seen before. Not the color she liked. Not the style she wore. Bought for someone else's eyes. Not mine. I didn't say a word. Didn't ask questions she already answered with her actions. Just cleaned up the kitchen like it mattered. Like any of this still mattered. That night, In bed, she rolled over and draped an arm across my chest. "I missed you," she whispered. I laid there stiff under her touch. It wasn't her hand that bothered me. It was the way it felt like a lie. A small, sad lie. I closed my eyes and pictured all the ways I used to reach for her. All the ways I used to feel lucky. All the ways I used to believe her when she said forever. And somewhere between her breathing and my heartbeat, I realized I didn't love her anymore. I just missed who she used to be. And I missed who I used to be when she loved me. Monday morning, she left for work early. I stayed behind, sipping coffee that tasted like regret. She left her laptop open on the kitchen table, something she never did. Not unlocked. Not open. Not in plain sight. Almost like she wanted me to see. Almost like she didn't care if I did. I didn't snoop. Didn't dig through her emails. Didn't search for confirmation. I didn't need it anymore. I wasn't looking for proof. I was looking for an ending. And in that moment, I realized. I didn't need her lies to leave. I didn't need her guilt. I didn't even need her confession. All I needed was a decision. And for the first time in months, I knew exactly what I had to do. The day I started planning my exit, it didn't feel dramatic. No big speech. No slammed doors. It felt quiet. Almost boring. Just me, standing at the kitchen sink, washing out my coffee cup like I did every damn morning, thinking, this isn't my home anymore. She isn't my person anymore. Simple as that. I didn't say anything to her right away. I wanted it clean. Not a fight. Not a begging match. I wanted her to come home one day and find a hole where I used to be. I wanted her to feel the absence. But not just that. I wanted her to understand exactly what she lost. First thing I did was open a new bank account. Different bank. Different branch across town she didn't even know existed. Took me all of 20 minutes. Started moving money out in small chunks. Not enough to trigger alarms. Just enough to make sure when I left, she'd feel it. She loved her little lifestyle, the salon trips, the spa days, the overpriced cocktails. All of it paid for by the man she thought she could humiliate and outgrow. Let's see how she handled life without her safety net. Next, I found a place. Tiny one-bedroom over a garage. Old but clean. Landlord didn't ask questions. Cash deposit. Keys in hand. Easy. While I moved my life out piece by piece, she kept moving further away without even noticing. Longer nights out. Lazier excuses. Shorter conversations. She didn't see me shrinking out of our life. And honestly, I didn't think she cared. One night, about a month into it, she stumbled home drunk. Hair a mess. Lipstick smeared. The smell of cheap cologne clinging to her clothes. She dropped onto the couch, shoes still on, laughing at some joke she didn't bother sharing with me. I sat there across the room, nursing a beer, watching her like I was seeing her for the first time. Not my wife. Not my partner. Just another reckless person who thought the world owed them forgiveness. I smiled to myself then. A small, private smile. Because I realized something. She didn't even know yet. Didn't know that the man sitting across the room wasn't hers anymore. Didn't know that I was already gone. Didn't know the storm I was about to drop on her pretty little world. The next weekend, I packed the last box. Took what mattered. Left the rest. The dog came with me. The memories could rot. When she came home from whatever errands she was pretending to run, the place felt hollow. Our closet, half empty. Drawers open. Couch stripped bare of my junk. Just a note on the kitchen table. I was never your practice husband. You were just my warm-up act. Short. Sharp. True. The first night in my new place, I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I sat on the porch with a beer in one hand and my dog curled up at my feet, looking out at the quiet street. And I started making a list. Not of what I lost. Of what she was about to lose. It wasn't just about leaving anymore. It was about teaching her a lesson. One she wouldn't be able to laugh off at a bar. One she couldn't explain away with some half-drunk excuse. She called me her practice husband? Fine. I'd make sure the next man she tried it with got a front row seat to who she really was. And when it was over, when the dust settled, she'd realize. I wasn't the fool she thought I was. I was the one who walked away laughing. I didn't go nuclear. Didn't blow up her car. Didn't slash her tires or put her on blast all over Facebook like some angry teenager. I was smarter than that. Colder than that. The best revenge isn't loud. It's when they don't even realize they've lost everything until it's too late to crawl back. Step 1. I told Megan. Yeah, the same Megan who Jenna used as her excuse every time she needed a cover story. I didn't have to make up lies or dig up dirt. I just told Megan the truth. How Jenna had been using her name to sneak around. How she dragged her into her own little cheating fairy tale. Megan didn't take it well. Turns out, Megan actually liked having a reputation. She liked her friends thinking she was stable, trustworthy. She didn't like being the unwitting alibi in someone else's trashy side piece story. Last I heard, Megan dumped Jenna like dead weight, blocked her, trashed her in the group chats, turned their little circle of friends into a minefield Jenna couldn't cross without blowing herself up. Funny how fast loyalty dries up when it costs people their own image. Step 2. I let her next boyfriend find out for himself. I didn't warn him. Didn't message him late at night with screenshots or sad little warnings. I just waited. A few months after I left, Jenna started posting him on her social media. New guy. Big arms. Nice teeth. Same pathetic story. I watched quietly as she paraded him around, pretending she was the happiest woman alive. Until, one day, someone slipped into my DMs. Wasn't Jenna. Wasn't her new toy either. It was one of her old friends from work, a woman who hated drama but loved the truth. Thought you should know, she wrote. Jenna's already stepping out on the new guy. Same moves, different face. I laughed when I read it. Not bitter. Not angry. Just a deep, chest-shaking laugh. Because some people don't change. They just rot slower with new scenery. Step 3. I erased her. Every trace. Blocked her number. Blocked her socials. Blocked her friends. Deleted every photo. Every text. Every voicemail. Gone. Like she never happened. No, maybe one day safety net. No, what if she changes? Fantasy. Dead air. 6 months later, she tried. Of course she did. They always do when the new toy wears out. She showed up at my new place one night. No warning. No text. Just her standing there on the porch, clutching her phone like it was the last lifeline she had. Her hair was messy. Her makeup smeared. Tears glinting in the porch light. Can we talk? She asked, voice small. I stood there a moment, feeling nothing. No rage. No pity. No longing. Just silence. Please, she said. I made mistakes. I didn't realize what I had until I held up a hand, cutting her off. You realized too late, I said. And I realized just in time. She blinked, stunned like she'd expected me to at least let her inside. Beg for an explanation. Ask for closure. But I didn't want anything from her anymore. Not her apologies. Not her lies. Not her broken promises. Nothing. I closed the door slowly, quietly, while she was still standing there. Didn't slam it. Didn't lock it loud enough for her to hear. Just a soft, final click. Like a man hanging up a phone call he never should have answered in the first place. Life didn't magically get perfect after that. Bills still piled up. Work still sucked most days. Loneliness still gnawed at the edges sometimes. But you know what was different? It was honest. It was mine. No more pretending. No more shrinking to fit inside someone else's small, selfish world. Sometimes, late at night, I'd sit on the porch with a beer, dog at my feet, watching the streetlights hum and flicker. And I'd smile. Not because I won. Not because I crushed her. But because I walked away from the wreckage she created without carrying any of it with me. Because real revenge isn't making them hurt. It's making them irrelevant. And that's exactly what she became. A ghost. A story I stopped telling myself. A lesson I'll never have to learn twice.